Hello, Zero K fans. This is not Shadow Fury 333. This is Kane. Shadow Fury, unfortunately, unable to join me today, has some sort of obligations involving real life. Fortunately, I have no such obligations, so I'm free to be here to share with you this beautiful moment as we load in here for the first game of the 2015 2v2 tournament finals. We're going to have our two teams from yesterday, Yogg-Sothoth and Skazi versus Clone and Forever, here on a map I certainly don't recognize. Let's see, Tropical V2, the name of the map. As you can see, quite a tropical map. A lot of mexes back here at the start boxes. Quite a bit of eco here in the center as well. But I think you could do pretty well just by fortifying and expanding in your starting position here. Certainly a macro-oriented map. Not one I'm familiar with, but we'll see how it goes. We certainly have a couple of macro-oriented teams today. What we saw yesterday, in case you missed the broadcast, of the 4 teams that started, we had, I guess, 2 that you might consider more early game or aggressively focused teams, and 2 more late game macro-oriented focused teams, or at least that was the theme of the commentary. And what we saw was strong early aggression, but time and time again, it was pushed away and defended well by these more macro-oriented players. So it's going to be quite a clash of macro titans here today, and I'm very excited to see what this first game brings us. So I should mention here that this is a double elimination tournament, and so it's going to require 2 wins from the team coming from the losers bracket here to walk away with a victory. Let me just go ahead and turn off all of this junk real quick. Great. Technical difficulties already getting warmed up, and so are our players. Hopefully should be spawning here fairly shortly. I see a hovercraft plant. Some amphibs. So really the expected factory so far. Trying to sort out the starting positions. Looks like Clone and Forever are actually not on Mumble together. So a bit of an advantage there for the northern team. I do believe they're on Mumble. Here's Yogg-Sothoth, so he'll be starting with his hovercraft factory. And I would expect either amphib or ships to try and assert some control of the center. I'm not really too sure about ships. I'm not positive that they could path through here in the center, but we might see. Here we are, starting in just a moment now. Skazi with his blue amphib factory, and undecided here from the red player, which is of course Clone. There we go. So amphib, hovercraft for both teams. Pretty safe middle of the road choices. Not too much going on. Yeah, this is sort of what I expected to see. Quite a few early constructors, and for the most part, I would expect these teams are just trying to get all these back mexes taken as quickly as possible. There's also quite a bit of reclaim, and mostly they just want to prevent their enemies from interfering with their expansion. A couple of scouts now coming out from the northern team. This is a pretty significant chunk of reclaim, so it would pay off to sort of stake this out and also, of course, give you some visibility. But mostly some small raider forces hang out. Very early scalpels, so this is going to aid in the raider defense, like I mentioned. This sort of indicates toward, like I said, a bit of a wall off here while they expand and sort of get all of this reclaim going as fast as possible, which is going to put them in a better position to go out and contest the center. I should mention that I'm casting on Linux, so we might have a few graphical issues that we'll have to work through, but we'll see how it goes. Running fairly smoothly so far. Heading to the back to grab these mexes with the commander. Duck coming in here to have a quick poke. Gets pushed away fairly easily by that duck, and another constructor on the way. These daggers are in a pretty good position. Might get to this constructor before the duck can defend. If nothing else, you see they're pushing away these constructors from building the metal extractors, which is delaying the overall expansion. So the more pressure that the northern team can apply is really a win. Even if they don't get the constructors, just having them back here building LTs and slowing down the expansion is going to put them in a really good position, like I said, heading into the mid and late game. At the same time, there is one dagger up here in the northern base. Gets dispatched pretty easily by that scalpel. And these daggers are still free to poke around in the back here. coming in to close the solar. Just one dagger in the back for defense, so really an unaddressed issue there. Able to take out another metal extractor, so this harassment is certainly paying off. Here's a third undefended metal extractor that's going to be going down. Yeah, and really, if I'm these daggers, I just want to hang out back here and keep doing this all day long. There's a bit of a contention here for the center. Looks like a quick constructor rush from Clone and that scalp there, trying to help defend this giant bundle of rocks from all the raiders coming in. Trying to wiggle their way around, but these daggers are in a hairy position. Hiding behind this constructor, that's a brilliant move. And that scalpel salvo dispatches the constructor, and this scalp isn't too much of a concern. Maybe try and poke in here with the daggers. There you go. Or just let that scalpel dispatch it. And so with strong control of the center here, the northern team's going to be able to expand behind this fairly quickly. Not a lot of action going out here to the sides. Both teams certainly open to a flank as we head into the mid or late game. Buoys now coming out from this northern amphibious factory. It's going to help busting through the port, and now the constructors come out to expand behind this. Economically, you can see that the northern team has quite a metal advantage here. Energy as well. Just overall haven't been able to expand much more freely. I mean, that harassment slowed down the southern team, and then of course coming up here to stake this out was certainly a big help as well, denying that reclaim, which is really what was keeping Clone holding on to parity there. So really just a series of very good plays. It's already paying off for the northern team. Tons of scallops coming out from Clone's factory. It's going to be helpful in defense, but they can be outmaneuvered so well by those raiders. And this is, of course, a very large map with a lot of openings, a lot of ways into the base area. So maneuverability, I think, might be an advantage, even over the strong defense of those scallops. More vying for position here. Northern team still has decisive control of the center position. Some fortifications coming up from the eastern side here in the middle. We do have a couple ducks coming around the western flank from the northern team. Looks like they like to poke in here, harass these metal extractors a bit more. There's a sky dust here on this northern entrance, but the south side looks to be fairly undefended. One commander there. He would be able to push away these ducks, but otherwise these metal extractors are quite open. These two ducks on the way in here are probably going to have a bad day. I wouldn't expect them to make it much further than this first metal extractor. But this one coming down here, he has a good chance of coming up and maybe clearing out a metal extractor too. And that's about all they get. Just the one metal extractor and then they go down. So really nice positioning on that Stardust there. Oh my goodness. That's my bumper music player now is just notifying me. Hopefully that should be resolved. Sorry about that, guys. And now really capitalizing on the territory they took early on here. These scalps just really not paying off the way Clone wanted them to. I mean, these scalpels hard counter them, and so it's a bit of a mistake to keep building them. And there's a Sky Dust, bit of an aggressive one as well. Another scalp goes down to these scalpels. And a pretty intimidating hovercraft force here, but upside down in its position, we see these ducks coming in. Should be able to clear out all of these metal extract. Well, looks like not all of them. Gonna need to head up to the northwest there. Bit of an undefended expansion in progress. And so this is certainly not how the hovercrafts wanted to be positioned. Unfortunately forced to fall back and tail these raiders, who apparently blunder into the scallops, or scalpels that is. So very fortunate for Yogg-Sothoth there. Otherwise this constructor could have been in a bit of a hairy position. We do see the LT coming up anyway to help defend against it. Some raiders coming in the back door here, going to take out that one metal extractor. And our heroic duck down here to the south side has actually walked all the way to the southeastern corner to another undefended patch of metal extractors. Just needs to avoid the Stardust here and he should be alright. One or two metal extractors to be expected. And still more positioning for the center. Very forward calm from Forever. Seems to be paying off though. He does have quite a lot of defenses here to fall back to if things get too hairy. Wow, I don't know how he did this. This seems like a magic trick, but able to get that Stinger up in range of these defenders. So as soon as that finishes, should be clearing out. There we go. Yeah, all three of these defenders, probably the radar, certainly these cons if they idle for too long. And with this, very good chance of contesting the central area. Probably wants to get this Stinger before it completes, although I'm not sure it's been spotted out quite yet. Let's have a look. There's the gunship switch. That's what I expected. Coming in from Clone. Curious to see what he builds. I mean, if the meta is to be believed, we're probably going to see some rapiers. No Q quite yet, but I'll make sure to check back on that in a moment. And this giant wall of scallops has been working out really well, especially as I mentioned against these scalpel spam. Certainly going to get cleaned up here. Doing a number on that Stinger. These constructors probably need to get out of the way. Yeah, this Mace isn't one for this world either if he doesn't move back. There we go. The Scalpel's able to clean up the scallops. And the Ducks coming in as well, so just another decisive engagement for the Northern team. Yogg-Sothoth really cleaning up with these hovercraft, and yeah, unfortunately South not able to make things happen quite yet. A few Blast Wings come out to scout. Interesting choice. This might be a good idea against the Scalpels. I don't think they can hit the Blast Wings on the way in. Oh, but they'll try. Oh, and boy was I wrong. Yeah, those Blast Wings aren't going to do much against the Scalpels, it looks like. Maybe drain the shots, which is a good idea if you have some follow-up, but these buoys are the problem now. Coming in here, able to easily clear out these defenders. The Mellow Extractors behind them won't take too long either. An attempted repositioning here. The Stinger being reconstructed. The Southern team coming in just in time to try and interfere. Aiming for the Constructors instead. 3 seconds, 2 seconds till the Stinger comes up. And so, unfortunately, not able to dislodge that as quickly as they would have liked. Still a very strong position here. Should be able to creep in fairly well, and just more Stinger pushes from Forever. This is a interesting tactic. You don't see a lot of it, but it seems to be working out really well for him. Yeah, and once the Southern team does clear out the forces from the Central Island, there's going to be quite a bit of reclaim here, but this Grizzly coming in looking to change the way things are going here. 2 Stingers beating down on it, though. It's definitely needs to retreat and try and skirm these a bit better. Ducks coming in to clean up the buoys. That's the right call. Might be too little too late, though. This is a very powerful force coming in from Yogg-Sothoth. Ooh, those Blast Wings get in some good shots. Wow. Wow, these Scalpels all at 10-50% health. A second wave of Blast Wings coming in to try and clean it up. Some Penetrator AA working well to defend. Interesting. So yeah, these Scalpels force back to retreat. Going to need to be repaired, hopefully by these 2 Constructors that are idling at the moment. Now, where did that Grizzly go? Am I blind? Oh, okay. It actually got teared down into a hole. Brilliant move there. Wow, excellent move. Certainly by Forever's Calm. That was, I wish I would have caught that. But that Grizzly effectively out of the game until another Constructor can come in here and try to free it. 2,000 metal, unfortunately, sitting completely useless for the Northern team. However, with such a strong presence on this western side, I'm a little surprised that Yogg-Sothoth hasn't pushed forward yet. I guess he might be trying to simply grind things down with that Penetrator, which is certainly the right tool for the job. So I fear that Forever's Stinger push here might have just hit the end of the road. This Penetrator should be able to whittle it down with that massive range advantage. Blast Wings on the western side. Looks like a scouting force. No, this is another attempt at those Scalpels. They're fairly well spaced out here. A little bit of chain explosion for the northern group. Yeah, unfortunately, none of these guys make it into the Scalpels. Or Scalps. No, Scalpels. My goodness. Ducks on the eastern side. Not a lot of action on the flanks so far. A bit surprising to me. Just 1 or 2 scouts for the most part. There we go. Quite a few daggers coming up here trying to take out that Constructor. A bit too forward. A large ball of scallops and buoys here. Formidable force. Probably looking to engage this hover ball over to the northwest. That Grizzly finally freed by a very intrepid Kong. And now very much able to push back this expansion from Forever, who has somehow managed to hold on to that support commander at the front. I don't even know how he's done that. These buoys might want to target down the Grizzly, right, to at least try and get some slow damage on it. But certainly don't walk in front of it in a straight line, directly in range of that Penetrator as well. Trying to swarm it, maybe? I mean, they are dealing quite a bit of damage. It's at 30%, but no, way too much support here. So unfortunately, these buoys just suiciding into territory that was already contested and in a good position to be controlled by the northern team. And so now, probably not much left doing. Just a little bit of work here by the northern team to secure this reclaim, and they'll be well on their way. Still able to maintain that economic lead. That gunship switch not really able to manifest. Oh, hello there. Well, what's this? About 90 seconds left on this crow. What do we have that can deal with it? Really not much. So this is a bit of a Hail Mary. But I don't see anything there that can defend the crow. Ooh, boy. Yeah, this certainly isn't going to help out. Nice small ball of daggers here. Going to clean out every single one of these metal extractors in the con when they get to the end of it. Stardust here on the beach to try and prevent them from coming in, which is nice, but clearing out that back eco isn't going to help. Another gunship switch, this time from the northern team. Nothing in the queue quite yet. If, hopefully for them, they might be building some tridents. I really don't see any AA. Oh, there we go. Another factory switch I missed. A few bombers up here, not really doing much at the moment. Well, what are these for? Probably for bombing out this position here. Heading out over to the east side. A few swifts ahead of them. Quite an engagement up here. But he's trying to push back these cons, and that's really all that they have to do. Just deny the reclaim from the southern team and, you know, sort of pick at it at their own leisure. The economic lead now is very significantly for the northern team, and we can see that just in the units that they're able to build, but... Oh, okay. That's a bit confused. These are actually the northern team's defenders trying to pick off the Stardust here. So a bit of a forward constructor. I do see these Ravens have decided to pull back. Not going to be bombing out anything on this eastern side, so still fairly idle. These defenders certainly working out well. Dagger's able to make their way onto the beach, and here's the crow forced to go back and dispatch of them. Probably wants to be heading north now. Yeah, this is definitely not the job it was built for. He's really got to get up here. Probably try and get over this military. Nice airplay there. Trying to clear out this defensive position. Doesn't look like it was too terribly effective, though. A little bit of harassment here from the Swifts. And really just waiting on this crow to slowly move up here. Looking for cover. Here it is. Trying to get into position to drop that D-gun. Ooh, boy. Way too premature, unfortunately. Ouch, that crow definitely not doing as much as he would have liked there. Taking a couple shots from the penetrator as well, and now here's the AA swarm. Wow, down to just 15% health. That was mostly bombers, by the way. And really just holding the position. Yogg-Sothoth hasn't been too active with this hovercraft force, but he really hasn't had to be. Just securing the territory and getting the southern team to sort of suicide into his position, it's been more than enough contribution to the effort here. And Forever, I mean, valiantly trying to push forward and take the center once again. But really not much here to support him, unfortunately, and just one run of bombers would finish this pretty quickly. Now we are starting to see a bit of a slow swarm and a shipyard switch from Yogg-Sothoth. That's fairly unexpected. Apparently wanting some anti-sub riots. These buoys are going to be able to skirm that hover ball fairly well, but you can only skirm so far. Trying to bait them perhaps into this crow again. Nice force of attacks here coming to clean up these windmills. So at this point, really, South is just being picked apart here. They're going to be fairly tenacious, I would expect. Try and hold on, basically until the northern team has demonstrably crushed their eco. Hoping for the comeback, of course. I hear a D-gun. There we go. shredders now coming out, so that was the reason for the ship switch, I would imagine. Doing an excellent job dispatching the air forces here, and so with these shredders, once again, Yogg-Sothoth is starting control of this western side, and just once again, I mean, fortify and reclaim. That's really all he's had to do this entire game. Clone, unfortunately, not able to apply as much pressure as they would have liked, I would imagine. I mean, his defensive style, it was just a bit too defensive. He was thrown off balance here by the attacks from the northern team. Well, they were able to quickly secure this central area and take advantage of the reclaim. That's really all it took. And from that point out, really, the northern team was just writing out a very large eco advantage. Lots of fire being exchanged in the center, so still a bit of a contest here. It's just hard to imagine the southern team overwhelming with the force that they have right now. Yeah, unfortunately, getting balled up isn't going to help things out either. Is there any sort of escalation coming up from the northern team? They're in a good position right now. Basically, all they have to do is convert. But yeah, nothing really coming up. I mean, there was the Raven switch, the shipyard switch. No super heavies that I could spot out. Looks like their plan is just to sort of grind it down with a normal composition. Southern team, I mean, trying everything they can, but basically they're fighting just to keep ground at this point. Wow, those missile frigates are doing a great job. Getting caught a bit out of position there, unfortunately. Will get cleaned up by the ducks, but those ducks in turn cleaned up by everything else that's up here. And really just coming in to apply pressure along the shoreline. Economy at this point nearly double for the northern team, which is a very surprising thing to say because South actually has 80 metal per second coming in. So things certainly seem to have stagnated. Forever commenting that the rating was too strong for the northern team, and I have to agree. I mean, these are both macro teams, but the northern team was much more active, much more capable in its rating, and so just the disruption that they were able to inflict on the southern team's development and expansion. I mean, that was enough for the early lead, and then of course that early lead was very well converted into a mid and late game lead as well. Certainly some interesting plays though on Forever's part, trying to keep and hold, and still somehow this commander survives, which is just baffling to me. The only explanation I can think of is that the north team hasn't actually seen it recently, or just doesn't care enough to do it, because these Ravens can certainly come in and clean it up. Just as they do that penetrator there. I can feel the morale sinking for the southern team. This Crow having gone down, they really don't have much in the way of options. I feel like I've said that a couple of times. Swift's coming in to harass the cranes. This is a fortified position, but you don't win by defending, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. And Clone just doing everything he can to get in here and try and take advantage of this reclaim. When he has the reclaim going, they're actually on parity here with the northern team, but keeping the constructors in there is so expensive. He has to essentially suicide raiders to tank the shots. Meanwhile, Yogg-Sothoth is able to pour him out at a much faster rate. There's the resign vote, and we are on to game 2. So that's the end of that. Let's have a quick look at the statistics. Metal production actually fairly even throughout most of the game. Clone having a bit of an advantage even in the mid part of the game. But as we headed out into the last, third or so of the game, you can see that Skazi and Yogg-Sothoth started just running away with the eco. Have a look at the damage dealt. Bears out more or less the same story. And so there you go. Well, basically, like I said, just the early aggression was able to throw the southern team off balance. They're going to have to be more defensive or do some sort of raiding of their own. If that happens again, it's fortunately going to be an ugly matchup for those guys. But we'll see what happens. I'll catch you guys in just a moment for the second game. Welcome back. We're getting ready for Game 2 of the winners finals of the 0K August 2015 2v2 tournament. I'm your host, Kane, and of course we have the same teams as last time, Clone and Forever, Skazi Yogg-Sothoth, looking to equalize things here, Clone and Forever. Red Comet, interesting choice, so going to see some heavy tanks from Clone, some light vehicles from Forever, Yogg-Sothoth with light vehicles, and Skazi, if I were to venture a guess, I would say some tanks. So we might see a bit of a mirror matchup here. Forever and Clone, I mean, they really felt the tip of the spear there regarding the raiding early on. Let's see if they do any sort of raiding themselves, or maybe a bit more defensive play to try and prevent that from happening. But that disruption to their economy just put them behind pretty early, and they were never able to recover from that, unfortunately. A little bit more comfortable map, no sea here, so we'll see how or if things go any differently for him this time. Just waiting for Skazi now. See if I can take care of that. There we go. And thank you everyone for bearing with me while I tried this out. It's actually my first time streaming live, as you can tell. Still have a few bugs to work out, but doing my best. Trying to fill that massive demand for live 0K 2v2 action. Any moment now, should see Skazi placing his Honk factory. The discussion here, I would imagine, is let's do it again. Really, I would expect more aggression. I mean, it just worked out so well for them last time. They really didn't run into any issues. They were dislodged for just the briefest moment from the center, but they were able to reclaim it so quickly with the economic advantage. And there is the heavy tank factory. And so we are going to see a bit of a mirror matchup here. Scorchers early from Yogg-Sothoth, darts from Forever, and a Kodachi from Clone. Now the expansion path is a bit curious here. Oh, this by the way is almost an exact mirror matchup. You can tell the same factories are even in the same starting position. So if you're looking for a strong 2v2 start on Red Comet, I would recommend a setup like this because it seems to be pretty popular with the pro players. Scouts heading out now. I'm curious to see how these darts are used. They should be able to get into the back here and get a pretty good layout. This Kodachi takes a bit of a defensive posture. Ooh. That Scorcher able to pick up the Kodachi so early. Wow, just another great pickup there from Yogg-Sothoth. No raiders here to defend this base now. Clone's in a bit of a hairy position. This Scorcher can't just dive in, knowing that there's probably going to be at least a defender. The start able to pick off the metal extractor, giving the commander a bit of a runaround. This Scorcher 2 trying to do the same thing, just wants to poke in here really. If he can stay alive, I'm sure Yogg-Sothoth would rather have an informant back here than a pile of dead Scorcher metal. Unfortunately, does get taken out by that defender just a bit too quickly. But that's alright. Picking up the Kodachi alone was a good win. Scorch is now placed a bit defensively. Another one here by the factory, so I would say this is a bit more of a defensive posture. Probably not wanting to fall victim to the raids again. Bad engagement there for that Scorcher. Unfortunately, a little bit of support from that Constructor, and that's all it took to go down. This Kodachi trying to hit and run. Really ginger engagement. Scorcher versus Kodachi is always very interesting. Trying to poke in and out with the Kodachi. The Scorcher, on the other hand, of course, wants to dive straight in. Trying to take advantage of that proximity bonus for his heat ray. Able to dispatch a metal extractor fairly quickly. And once again, it looks like the Western team, Yogg-Sothoth and Skazi, able to apply more pressure with the raiding, and it seems like the Eastern team might be thrown off balance by that once more. Bit of a greedy start here getting a Constructor this early from Clone. He knows that, especially after that first Kodachi went down, it would be very difficult to defend, and given Yogg-Sothoth's sort of aggressive nature. Definitely in jeopardy now. These Panthers trying to kite these Scorchers on the way in, able to push back this raid attempt. And a similar engagement over on the eastern side. Good control of the Scorchers, pulling back. No reason to engage the Panthers. Looking to head around back. Ooh. Ooh, boy. Mr. Commander. This guy might be about to have a bad day. These Scorchers on just the exact right path. By the way, this constructor looks like it's going to go down. And here these Scorchers closing the distance. Oh, no. Oh, Scorchers, nope. Going to get the dive, it looks like. No problems whatsoever. Now, that is definitely not how Clone wanted that to go. Chasing away the Scorchers with the Panthers. I mean, once again, we're seeing the superior rating. Bit of a counter raid coming in. That would be a good idea from the Eastern team. Counterattack. I mean, they did just lose 4 Scorchers. They're going to have a fairly thin military. If there's a good time to attack, it's right now, but it's not right there for sure. Yeah, pull back. You definitely want to find a weak spot for that. And that's really why you need some advanced scouting, so that you, when you get a moment to take advantage of a timing like that, you're able to you know, go through the window. You can see up here through the north, this is completely undefended. So if they were going to counterattack after that dive, up through the north was the place to do it. Without much visibility and no forward radar, of course, it's impossible to know that that place was open. And so instead, we saw the Eastern team run their raiders directly into this fortified position and get turned back immediately. So there was a Scorcher dive with absolutely no retaliation from the Eastern side. And now, very strong force of Scorchers on the way in here. Pretty wisely turning away from that constructor. No reason to try and raid into the Panthers when there's so much free raiding to be done over here. I might also like to see a Scorcher poke in and try and deny the reclaim. Vying for position, getting a preemptive defender up here to prevent Stardust, the Sky Dust, I should say. Kodachi trying to sneak in through that northern side. Panthers here for the backup. They're going to dispatch these Scorchers without much issue, especially in a defensive position. And these defenders are going to whittle away the Sky Dust. And here come the Panthers now. Ooh. Letting the Scorchers get a bit too close, but the Alpha just too great on those Panthers. Stunning out one Scorcher as he comes in for the kill. And still ultimately a victorious engagement there for the Western team. So once again, an excellent job, and the Raider control is really paying off already. Wow, this is the bravest support commander I think I've ever seen. Pushing forward once again, taking in a few defender salvos to try and get this LT down, dislodging the defenders and preventing them from destroying the Sky Dust, which is going to be rebuilt, it looks like. Scorchers a bit balled up there. 7 or so, looking ready to dive their way in. No constructors heading out here to this commander wreck, so just a huge disadvantage for Clone. He loses the income. He's not taking advantage of the reclaim. He loses the ability to expand that way. So unfortunately, a bad situation made worse by some inactivity, but Clone not really free to do the more economically focused things he might like. Unfortunately, quite a bit of pressure coming here at the front. That's going to prevent him from ecoing and make him focus more on the military and defensive placement up here. So unfortunately, this commander sits completely unused. Pretty nice looking defender push coming in from Yogg-Sothoth. And that's really all he has to do. Just secure these metal extractors. Even if he can't actually build these, just denying them from Clone at this point. Given the implicit economic advantage they have after that commander dive, that's going to work out well. Economically, though, I should mention the teams are very, very close. Just a 2 metal discrepancy between the two. But I believe the military values are quite different. Yeah, we can see Yogg-Sothoth has a massive military advantage over any other player in the game at the moment. Forever and Clone both hurting, and this is an excellent, excellent spike. Scorchers and Panthers combining forces on this weak northern side coming in here. Scorchers trying to dig into the soft, squishy eco at the back. I would imagine these Panthers are trying to go to the front, trying to deal with any military that might come in. This Banisher hoping to clean things up, and it will do that if these units continue to ball up like this. First shot comes out. I might try to stun out that Banisher before the factory. Oh, a Stardust there too to deal with. A bit ugly. Probably not the position that the Western team wanted to commit to, and that was an overcommitment if I've ever seen one. Wow, cleaning up the entire military force of the Western team. Almost. Nearly so. 4 Scorchers and some Wolverines, but that's really all that's left. Pillagers now coming out to try and thin down these defenses, but the Eastern team might be able to get back into this if they can get this reclaim going. In fact, even saying so themselves, they absolutely can still win this, but they're going to have to act on this, and they're going to need to do it just right. Coming in with a counterattack, Scorchers coming in from the south side. Still no constructors on the commander corps, unfortunately, and so this poor constructor probably not long for this world either. Okay, cleaning up the Wolverines. That's good to see. This position way too fortified. He can't really dive in here, so they're going to have to fall back. A Reaper coming out. That'll help him clear this out a bit better. And a proxy shield bot factory coming out from Forever. Banisher looking to push away these Scorches before they get in here. 2 Reaper Banisher. This is a strong force from Clone. Not projecting any force at the moment, but he really could. This is definitely the right place for a couple of Reapers to come in and clean up. Ooh, boy, that Pillager pressure is probably making Forever regret putting this Shieldbot factory so far forward. Trying to get some bandits out here. I mean, some Raiders are the way to chase these off, but those Pillagers are firing from a well-defended position. Ouch, that Skydust going down, and Forever's position here being picked apart. And here's the Reaper Banisher clear out I was mentioning. Ravagers coming in here to try and counterattack. These Reapers are perfect for taking out the defenders, but will they be able to capitalize on having this area cleared out now, is the question. Well, that's right, the Pork is down, but what's going to come through here now? These Ravagers still defend the area reasonably well. There's a Constructor here to try and rebuild, take advantage of the reclaim. Speaking of which, this Commander still sitting here, not being reclaimed whatsoever. Huge ball of tanks. I mean, this is quite a bit of force, and this is quite undefended thoroughfare. You could get right in through here with a couple of tanks for sure. So once again, not having the information to capitalize on the opportunity that they have here. Instead, forced back to defend against these Ravagers. Going to get a bit tricky. Yeah, I'm not too sure how that would go, honestly. I guess with the Panthers there, they should be able to clear it out. Having a quick look at the military value, there's 4.2k in units right here. Versus just about 2,000 worth of Ravagers. Bit of a Raven switch coming in for the Pillagers. That's absolutely the right decision here from Forever. Just a couple of Ravens is really all you need. Ravagers coming in here, going to be clearing out this expansion. Those Ravens are unfortunately not going to help too much against the Ravager ball. And there you go. This Panther's getting dispatched up fairly easily as well. I heard a commander alarm. I couldn't spot that out. These Panthers still getting chased to the Ravagers. Yeah, which is really unfortunate. Obviously, these Panthers don't have much of a chance, and so the best they can do is try and scare them away, but yeah, just more reclaim out on the field, and the Eastern team couldn't use the reclaim they already had, so not a very good position. A bit too passive with these tanks, I think. Could be coming in here trying to poke a bit more. Especially with a couple of Banishers here to clean up the lighter units. The Rapiers are going to help take out whatever defenses they might encounter, so there we go. Moving forward now, but Rapiers coming in, yeah, unfortunately, those Reapers are ill prepared to deal with them. So obviously, forced retreat now. Some sort of AA. Should be in order here from Clone. See Copperhead coming out of the factory now. And now the Swift's getting behind the lines to try and scout a bit. Trident's attempting to deny the scout. Some good visibility there. Things seem to have settled down a bit. They don't really need to, though. This Eastern team just has a pretty significant economic disadvantage at the moment. Finally heading towards that commander now. In a bit of a pause, it seems that we're going to have some networking problems. So Clone has been able to build up a nice, respectable force of Reapers here. Not really doing much with it, though. It's tough to say. I mean, this is essentially wasted metal for every moment that is sitting here doing nothing. But at the same time, they can't really push through. The Western team, I mean, they have some Reapers of their own, but They're obviously not going to be able to deal with this massive Reaper ball here. I don't understand why it's so idle. They could be at least taking territory with it, or denying territory if nothing else. Then getting the constructors back here to reclaim and develop. Big curious to read the spectator chat there, but not too much being said. Wolverines versus Pillagers. It's not really a question of arty at the moment, it seems to me. Neither team is too terribly fortified, not beyond what these Reapers can deal with anyway. Seems mostly a battle of assault units at the moment. Skazi dropping a label on this northern side. I mean, this northern side is still wide open. These Reapers could move in through here, force... Tricky position, though, because then what do you do with this down here? Certainly can't keep it at bay. It looks like these brawlers are the idea. There's one Copperhead out on the field. Yeah, I'm not really sure if the Eastern team is prepared to deal with this brawler. Yeah, that's true. Pork and Pillagers there for Skazi up to the north. And so really, like I said, I feel like Clone's tank ball here has a pretty good chance of breaking through, just being much too passive. Not sure what exactly we're waiting on here. Just waiting for Forever to have his network problems clear up. Oh, I see. He was rejoining. So he'll be catching up, and then we'll be resuming shortly. I like the Raven switch here. Forever's in a pretty hairy position, though. He doesn't have too much here to help defend. So it's really all Clone at the moment. Strong attack up here from the northern team. I mean, that's really all it would take. I should mention, by the way, that this is actually a double elimination tournament. And so one of these teams coming from the loser bracket actually has to win 2 series to take away the finals. I believe that's actually Skazi and Yogg-Sothoth coming from the losers bracket. I'll have to verify that after this game, but yeah, as I mentioned, they're actually going to need to win this series and then another one afterwards to take these finals. So Clone and Forever have a serious advantage, but coming out strong out of the gates, certainly we can say that much. So Forever is back in game now. We should be resuming shortly. Any moment, probably looking to make a plan. I mean, Forever has to know he's in a hairy position. And we're off now. It does look like these tanks are going to be rolling out from Clone. This Brawler likewise getting into position now. There we go. And that's going to be driving these tanks back pretty well. Ooh, this Copperhead coming in, doing quite a bit of damage to these Rapiers. Look at that. Raven's coming in here to try and dissuade these tanks from coming in, but really that's the best Forever can do at the moment. Trying to get some Scorchers to apply some more pressure, but those Reapers are certainly going to be difficult to deal with. Ravagers now, bit of a pincer maneuver shaping up. Clone has to be really careful here, get caught in a hairy position. The Rapiers coming in from the south now. Scorchers heading up towards the north side, trying to break through the lines here. And these Brawlers are being very ginger about their engagements. I mean, these Copperheads are certainly something to worry about. Where's the metal going? Back into land. That's absolutely the right decision. Show off just a couple of air units. Get the overinvestment AA. Ooh. A bit close, but it looks like that Brawler is not going to make it out of here, unfortunately. Oh boy, this Copperhead is ultimately able to catch up. Look at the range on these guys, by the way. You don't see too many Copperheads get built, but I would say it's perfect call here against those Brawlers. And just a network of Skydust. That is Forever's plan. These Reapers really not able to deal with it, so it should at least slow them down. But of course, with this many Reapers, you can simply fly right by them. And that is what we're seeing here. These Reapers just rolling their way past the Stardust, or trying to anyway, getting caught out by these Scorchers though, and retreating after all. This Pillager trying to come through here and dispatch that Skydust. And a lot of positioning going on down here. Obviously, these Reapers can't be caught out of position, or the Ravagers will just dump or focus onto the single Reaper. Same goes for the Ravagers, though, so it's all about position here. And these Reapers also have the objective of clearing out the Solar Collectors and all the defenses down there, which they're doing an excellent job of, and now able to kite these Ravagers, which is exactly how they want to engage. Just decimating that defensive line, and now we're seeing Raider spam coming out to try and counter all of these tanks. Panthers digging into the back lines here. This is a hairy position for Forever, to be sure. It looks like they'll be trying to just snipe out the metal extractors. Meanwhile, this tank ball clearing out that defensive position, and now Clone definitely has a way through here. Yogg-Sothoth probably sweating a bit. Skazi trying to send some tanks down here to discourage Clone from charging in. Clone not charging in, and so it seems to be working out well. In fact, in danger of getting boxed in here a bit by both of the forces. Plus, these Panthers running amok in the back of the base. Certainly not going to be helping out the Eastern team in any way. Bandits leading the charge. Should be dispatched by the Banishers fairly easily, but then come the Ravagers to follow up. Very risky move by these Ravagers, by the way. They really need to be focusing down single Reapers. They can't engage this ball in a large macro battle like this. Or alternatively, trying to get them into a good position for these Reapers to counterattack. Alicio coming out now, doing what damage it can against the Reapers. And Clone is positioning for a comeback. Panthers still messing around in the back of the base. They should get dispatched fairly soon. A couple of Ravens coming in here to take care of them. And another one digging in back here as well. These Panthers are certainly doing an excellent job. More Licho bombs going on. Such a tight position. I mean, it's tough to call. The Western team just has run away with the economy, but Clone time and time again has been able to attack and defend well enough to stop them from coming in and dealing the death blow. But can they break through? I mean, it's going to take some master playing to turn this one around, though. He has managed to claim this territory. If he can reclaim and develop it, he stands a pretty good chance, but oh boy, Roach is coming in here now to deal with these Reapers, and that's the problem, is that this Western team has more than enough money to do whatever they like to try and counter this tank ball. And really, we shouldn't have to wait too long before seeing an ultimatum, given the number of Reapers here. Or even a Goliath as a counter tank would be fine. Heading up north, trying to clear this out. Forward position from Skazi. He's basically fortifying this, trying to establish a fire base and poke into this northern position. Clone doing everything he can right now. 6 constructors out here trying to reclaim and rebuild. Will it be enough? Scorcher's doing the worm, it looks like. Ooh, those constructors are certainly out of position. And this Reaper ball heading up to the north now. This is pretty brave, and still, by the way, this corridor is completely undefended. Bandit's not really able to push in against the Stardust, so Clone showing his mastery of defensive play. I mean, he's held this off and defended it for so long now. It's really just very impressive. It seemed like it was over so quickly. Forced to pull back now. And this is really his main contention, this similar Reaper Ball from Skazi. Focusing down on a Reaper that's out of position here. And so unfortunately, this is what keeps Clone from being able to convert this into some sort of territorial advantage, is the fact that Skazi is applying pressure with his own Reapers. Oh boy, now these tanks are upside down. This is no good for the Eastern team. And it looks like Clone might just be trying to go for a counterattack, knowing that he can't catch these Reapers. If I'm Skazi, I'm diving these Reapers. Not a doubt in my mind. There we go, that does seem to be the case. Go man, and just clear out that back eco. That's all he needs to do to seal this one. Yeah, I have to agree, a bit too much delay, unfortunately, and actually ultimately pulling back, so a bit too ginger with this engagement, and unfortunately, he didn't dive in when he had the positional advantage. Clone able to catch up with Skazi and drive him out of the territory now, so yet again, good defense by Drone there. Able to somehow stop a game-winning play. Band is coming in trying to thin out these constructors. That's certainly the right call. Basically, you just need to break Clone's arm. Break Clone's arm here. This band is coming in from the northern side of the flank now. Ouch, and these brawlers just pouring it onto this tank wall. Band is able to run by that Skydust, and now they have a pretty good shot at all these solar collectors, unless, of course, they group up together like that and Leecher dispatches them with a single salvo. Still 2 bandits in here, but looks like that LT, if nothing else, will be able to dispatch them in a huge Reaper engagement at the moment. Retreat, that's absolutely the right call. Excellent Leecho. Time and time again, this Leecho has been paying off, by the way, taking out Banishers, dealing with groups of Raiders, dealing damage to these tank balls that we're seeing from Clone. Retreating a little bit more territory for Clone. Reaper Ball coming in the south side, so the Eastern team, despite giving it all they got, just really not able to keep up with the Rays at this point. And this is exactly what the Western team needs to do, is just keep throwing off the balance. You go down to the south, you go down to the north. Anywhere that you see that the units are out of position, that the defenses are too light, you just poke in there a bit. And you get this giant Reaper Ball to swing south and then north, and then south and north, and basically over and over until you can get them out of position to dive into the base. Hawks now trying to deal with these gunships. Unfortunately, it's that much less metal that will be available on the ground to help push forward. Clone just really not giving in. Still more Reapers. Still more Rapiers as well. And Hawks to try and deal with them, so counters to counters to counters. That's what we're seeing in this game. So it's certainly a very dynamic game, a lot of back and forth. Eastern team pulling out all the stops. Same goes for the Western team as well. These Copperheads do a pretty good job of driving back the gunships. You don't usually see this matchup too often, or at least you usually don't see the Copperheads in response to the gunships. But as these Rapiers are balled up like that, it works out perfectly, and now these Copperheads getting chased off by a Constructor here. Looking to get his Veteran Stripes. They do manage to escape, but some good defense there by that Constructor. That Commander taking a Leecho shot to the dome, able to walk away from it. And now these Rapiers, or Reapers rather, kiting the Reaper Ball from Clone. Bit of a nice arc there as well. And Defenders up here on the hill rather than Stardust, which would have certainly helped clear out these Reapers a bit more. And Clone, despite being on the losing, or on the disadvantaged team for the entire game, has been building up this gargantuan Reaper Ball and protecting it so incredibly well. The repair, the micro, is still in this game. Unfortunately, Yogg-Sothoth also has been persistent in his raiding, and they've really done a good job, the Western team collectively, at basically poking in here, being a thorn in the side of the expansion, never letting the East reclaim or refortify this position. And that's a skill in and of itself, preventing the comeback, because that is what Clone is looking to do. Basically come with an overwhelming late game force, sit down and then get fed off the reclaim, and then just move forward with an overwhelming Reaper wall. The West team being able to prevent that, that's a testament to their skill. That certainly requires some intentional effort on their part. Clone taking advantage of the kiting bonus here. Able to focus down that Reaper, and this is basically how all Reaper versus Reaper engagements go. You're trying to concave and you're trying to retreat. You're trying to catch Reapers out of position and focus them down. Clone sounding pretty discouraged. It looks like we're ready to see. Ready to see a GG vote here fairly shortly. A valiant effort by the Eastern team. I mean, Clone put up a hell of a fight. But once again, we saw it. The rating was really what did it, wasn't it? Yogg-Sothoth came in. That early commander snipe certainly didn't help things out. And just the continued rating in general just harassed the development of the Eastern team, which maybe might be used to expanding and developing with a little bit less pressure. And so in that way, the expansion didn't go as well for them. And then, of course, we did see quite a bit of suicide on the Eastern team's part, trying to reclaim the territory. Ultimately able to dislodge Yogg-Sothoth from the southern expansion, but not able to capitalize on that. All this reclaim left on the field, despite Clone's best efforts getting these constructors out here. These constructors, by the way, are essentially the only thing that have kept the Eastern team in the game. The economy now, 73, 26. I mean, it does all right when these constructors are reclaiming, but when they're not, the Eastern team's eco dips down quite a bit. The Western team really doesn't have to change up their strategy at all at this point. Bandit spam and Reaper spam is going to do it, especially at double the economy of the Eastern team. These bandits are having an absolute field day, cleaning up the constructors, outnumbering the Sakachis. And there's the resign vote. So there we have it. That's that first series going to Skazi Yogg-Sothoth, as they are affectionately referred to. Clone managing to take the Mineral Prospector and CA awards, but ultimately falling behind in the one stat that matters, which is, of course, the win count. It's going to be just a moment while I confirm the details of the organization of the tournament. We'll have a quick look at the bracket, I guess. See here, yeah, okay, so it was Skazi Yogg-Sothoth who came up from the losers bracket, so I believe that they'll need to win another series. And in fact, this series might be best of 5. I'm actually not sure. Let me ask real quick. Okay, so yeah, I do have some confirmation. It's 2 best-of-3 series. Yogg-Sothoth, having come from the losers bracket but winning the first series, they're going to have to win another series. So we are moving on to the grand finals, ladies and gentlemen. And what an exciting time it is. Go ahead and throw on the splash screen real quick. Waiting for our players to get organized now, but that's right. We have at least 2 more games of action-packed 0K 2v2 action coming your way. And it'll be just a moment while I take a brief intermission. Hello and welcome back. We're heading into the second series of the finals of the 2015 August 2v2 tournament for 0K. I'm your host Kane, as you probably already knew. Loading in here to the, as I already mentioned, first game, second series. Should be a best of three. Oh boy. There we go. Alright. Thought I crashed for just a moment, but we're all right. Here we are, loaded into Titan Duel. I'm not sure exactly how this map was chosen. I would expect Forever and Clone to have picked it themselves. At any rate, we are going to see a double light vehicle start. Might be looking at some Scorcher cheese, you guys. This is awfully forward. I don't see any mexes queued up either. We'll have to take a look. They're going to need to do something differently, though. Skazi Yogg-Sothoth, really dominant performance over this team. Clone was able to put up a good fight, but he was forced to be on the defensive, and the productive rating of Skazi and Yogg-Sothoth has just been over the top, able to shut down this economic development and allowing them to steamroll heading into the mid and late game. I want to thank you guys for bearing with me through all of the technical difficulties. There have certainly been many throughout this broadcast, and I'm sure we haven't seen the last of them, so just to really appreciate your patience there while I try to fill the rather large and professional shoes of Shadow Fury. Once again, just waiting on Skazi. I do see a light vehicle factory from Yogg-Sothoth, so I wouldn't be too surprised to see 4 light vehicle factories come down. Okay, reports are that this was actually chosen by the random map vote, which is interesting. Yes, alright, cool. We are going to see a Scorcher Rush, a serious Scorcher Rush. We should see both players, typically you would usually see them dumping into the same factory, but it looks like they're going to be dumping into their own factories here. Yeah, I don't really see the point in plopping 2 light vehicles if you're just going to Scorcher Rush anyway. Couple of metal extractors first to get them on the way. Looks like 1 dart to open up with. And then scouts. Yogg-Sothoth is actually opening up with a constructor here, going for a greedy economic start. And a Kodachi. That's not going to help defend these Scorchers too well. It's going to be mostly up to this battle command. Whatever Scorchers and stack defenses they can get together. Yeah, it does look like a Scorcher Rush. Where are these guys queued up to? The question, of course, how many Scorchers will they be rushing, and will the Northwestern team be prepared? Really important that this Northwestern team gets a good scout. They've spotted a couple of Scorchers, I would hope. And now they've spotted a few more. Hopefully at this point they figured out this is a Scorcher Rush through and through. It's actually just 6 Scorchers. That's not really that much. That's really not too much of a Scorcher Rush. Panther coming out now to help in the defense. This support commander's a bit out of position, though. But those Scorchers aren't going to see it. Trying to dive in on the Panther. So these Scorchers have already lost a couple of their number. Now 4 Scorchers just sort of sitting idle outside of the base at the moment. And a pause coming in from Clone. Oh boy. More connection problems. What a bad time for it, too. Forever, yep, has completely lagged out of the game, left the lobby, and will need to rejoin here. So, he is forever lagging. Well put. So it's going to be another moment while we wait for him to rejoin. Like I mentioned, this is not as powerful as you usually want the Scorcher Rush to be, especially against 2 players, especially with Panthers on the field, and Triple especially with his battle commander. Really just needs to morph to level 1, and between him and the Panther, he should be able to deal with these Scorchers all by himself. There's really no great place for the Scorchers to dig in. There are, however, 2 Constructors up here on the field, so if somehow Clone and Forever can get the foresight, the psychic ability to figure out that this northern side is very squishy and undefended, well, there's actually a couple of Scorchers here to help defend it, so it's not as squishy as maybe I first thought. Yeah, there's just really not much doing for these Scorchers, and unfortunately, once this fails out, it's going to make this pretty bad position here from the southeastern team. If they suicide these Scorchers, there's going to be a very strong counterattack on the way. And even if they don't, they've already poured enough into these Scorchers. Going for the commander dive. Just might get it off. Super close, losing all the Scorchers in the process. Really early dive. I don't know, man. That could go either way. It all depends on how the team reacts. And so Yogg-Sothoth actually building these Masons is going to work out well for him because it puts him in a good position to get right on this reclaim. Already has the solar collectors coming up, and now... well, now not much going on. Probably a bit of panic, and certainly some bump in morale there for the southeastern team. Desperately needed a victory, or at least a good engagement, and that certainly was. Looks like Slashers is the play coming out now, looking to just out-expand and then control the territory. They don't really need too many raiders, it sounds like, is their thinking. Repairing the Scorchers definitely needs to defend this reclaim so he can take advantage of it. These Panthers forced to be somewhat defensive as well. This level 0 battle commander is in a bit of a precarious position, but he should be alright. These Scorchers actually choosing to go up north to engage. Well outnumbered, so they'll be pushed back fairly easily. Good coordination by the Northwestern team to defend that. Chewing through the reclaim now. 24-21. So the southeastern team actually able to get a small economic advantage out of that so far. Northwestern team doesn't seem to be too bad off. They're actually going to be pretty behind in the expansion over here towards this northeastern corner. That's really the biggest problem, is that this slowed down the expansion effort so much, and now it's going to be probably the Northwestern team coming in late to try and take back this corner instead of rushing it, which was probably their initial plan. These Scorchers, bit of a misdive here. Yeah, losing the entire force there, donated happily to be reclaimed by Forever's commander. Heading out once again very bravely towards this northeastern side. Similarly, we see Clone's commander heading out to the west, and so this is an aggressive corner expand. Certainly the great way to play this, especially after a successful commander dive. Panthers coming in here trying to poke around a bit, or just hold control of the center. I'm really curious to see what Yogg-Sothoth's plan is for the comeback here. Oh, let me turn off the lightning view. Sorry about that, guys. This should make it quite a bit easier to see. It looks like just more constructors, so super greedy expansion here coming from Yogg-Sothoth. He has just 3 Scorchers on the field. He actually has as many constructors as he does Scorchers. And here the Slashers at work, the Scorchers coming in. A little bit of Slasher support, able to dispatch those Panthers pretty easily. And the expansion continues. Ever increasing their lead, however stalling on energy for at least the moment. Could use a couple more solar collectors. Trying to get that done. We do see a little bit of a grid developing here as well. Early Banisher coming out from Skazi, looking to help defend this commander to the south, who's trying to very aggressively move forward to hopefully contest or just take that southwestern corner. Yogg-Sothoth very greedy, trying to get this constructor out there ahead of time. Fortunately, a bit upside down here. The Scorcher should be able to take it out. Oh, no, actually these Scorchers too close behind at this point now. Able to defend the constructor, so really great play there by Yogg-Sothoth, keeping that constructor alive, and now he'll be able to expand here without too much trouble. Another straight Scorcher coming in, trying to finish the dive. That one was a bit closer, but still ultimately now getting cornered by these Scorchers. Certainly gets pushed away, if not outright defeated. Wow, able to dispatch with those Scorchers and take out the constructor. More Scorchers coming up to follow up and a second constructor to re-expand, but nice way to clear that out from Forever there. Moving forward, and we're seeing another sort of porky push here. Defenders being the method of choice for the moment. Probably looking to put up a stinger or two in the center. You really need to control the mobility of these tanks. If you let them get through the center without taking without taking significant resistance from a Stinger or something like that, you're in a lot of trouble because they can just sort of march right through. Southeastern team having strong control of the center at the moment. Slashers, we see Skydust being built up as well. Making a great showing this tournament, by the way, these Skydust. It's really something you should consider adapting into your play. It's just so difficult to deal with. Such a large advantage if you use Skydust and your opponent doesn't. Ouch, that Banisher overcommitting to try and take out those Slashers. Scorchers trying to make the way up there. Similarly, some coming down to the southwestern side, so it looks like Forever Clone going to be taking the corner. Oh no, this northeastern one being cleared out now. Scorchers coming in, a Leveler trying to push those back. So a lot of contention up here. Yogg-Sothoth does control the expansion. The Scorchers trying to come in the back door. And that Leveler coming in. Ooh, getting surrounded by the Scorchers. Excellent, excellent micro there by Yogg-Sothoth. Now he needs to head up here, line up, and catch these guys across the T. Ooh, getting caught with some local inferiority there. Scorcher's able to, wow, thin out the numbers quite a bit. Coming back to finish up the dive. So much Scorcher micro here. And once again, Forever able to clear out this expansion, taking out the Constructor and the defenses. This commander in a hairy position, however, these Banishers getting pushed back. Some counter slashers now. It's going to be useful for clearing out the defenders as well. And look at how decisively Clone has taken the southwestern side. Skazi can do very little to contest it. He has absolutely the wrong units for it. Nice dive coming in again. These Scorchers are at very low health though, so it's really unclear if they're going to be able to achieve their goals in life. Ooh boy, getting caught by that Leveler just as it comes out of the factory. Not much going there. Certainly a nice attempt, maintaining the pressure, and the southeastern team having such a strong lead at this point. Really, just applying pressure is all that they need to do. That early commander dive has worked out so well. It's just really hard to come back from something like that so early in the game. Certainly putting up a good fight. It looks like they're looking to focus down on this eastern side. A bit more lightly defended. We see some defenders here and some LLTs, but that's really it. Nice juicy commander waiting at the end too if they can manage to break through. Meanwhile, these Slashers trying to creep their way up the western side. Very precarious position. I should mention that economically, Minas had a gargantuan lead this entire game, and it seems to be only increasing at the moment. A Reaper now coming in here. That's going to dispatch these Slashers without any issue at all. Banisher looks like he might be taking out the commander. He does go down. Ooh, boy. And the second commander goes down over here. Skazi's. Ooh, boy. So commander trade going on there. The northwestern team completely without commanders at an economic disadvantage, having been dislodged from the northeastern side 3 times in a row now, and having really no ability to dislodge the southwestern corner, excuse me. Is in a pretty hairy position. Napalm Bombers. Nice switch up here from Forever, trying to break out. They don't really need to so much break out as even deny this northeastern corner. Just with how strongly this western side has been taken. And then they can pork up and just sort of build a large army and overwhelm slowly. Skazi trying to hold these off with, looks like another tank versus tank ball in the forming. 2 Reapers from each side up here. It's complicated a bit by these Slashers, though. They're extremely vulnerable to Reapers. Ooh, boy. Really nice job covering the Scorchers with the Reapers. Now the Scorchers should be diving in on this weak Reaper right here instead. Diving in on the strong Reaper. These Reapers have a preposterous amount of health, by the way. More Scorchers diving in on these Reapers as well. Really close engagement. Ooh, boy, Clone needs to get back here with these and repair them. Wow, that one Scorcher coming in time just to save those 2 Reapers. Able to pull back and now repair. This is the perfect usage of a Reaper, by the way. Basically, go out there, sink damage until you're down to basically as little health as you can tolerate. Repair back up and then head back out to sink some more damage. Steer clear of these Stingers, though. No real reason to engage them up here with this undefended avenue up to the north. curious. Why waste resources on air? Yeah, it's an interesting question. Basically, it was looking to thin out the slashers, I would expect. And then you can use things like Thunderbirds, or, well, Thunderbirds in particular are really good against tanks because they have a slow time turning around, and you can also disable, say, whatever defenses they might be fighting in. So it's a great 1-2 combo. We aren't seeing any Thunderbirds, however. But that's one reason I could imagine spending resources on air. Just having a complementary force in general, being able to switch things up is advantageous. Once your units get hard countered by something, you pretty much have to switch to another factory to build the hard counter to whatever's countered yourself. Forever, once again, clearing out this northeastern expansion, looking to take it. If he's able to do so, it's going to be a very decisive economic advantage, even more so. At the moment, we're at 1.5 times eco, pretty handily. Scorch is coming in, continuing to harass. We're going to easily overwhelm these slashers here. Just need to stay clear of that Reaper. Oh boy, a little bit of splash damage, taking out a couple of Scorches from the Reaper. There we go. Now able to get behind the lines. Some defenders here. These are really the last hope, and this Scorcher might get into the Caretaker as well. That is not what Yogg-Sothoth needed. Ouch, going to dig in and probably take out this Metal Extractor. Super close, does go down to that defender shot immediately afterwards, but that is great. That was a great dive by that Scorcher. There's the resign vote from Skazatoth. And so this series looking a lot better for Forever Clone. Certainly a strong showing there. That early commander dive, that paid off pretty well, didn't it? Able to head out, secure the territory very quickly. That just delaying the pace of the expansion there was all it took. And that's what we will probably be seeing in the next 1 or 2 games in this series. Is really, really strong attempts from both players to try and mess up the economic expansion and development of the other team. We should see some more aggressive raiding coming out of Clone Forever. We might see another rush. I wouldn't expect that. I would expect instead going back to the standard macro-oriented play, but just trying to throw in more raiders and more raider defense into the mix, trying to catch up with Skazatoth in that respect. So, going to be just a moment while I intermiss, and we'll catch up on the second game of the series. I'll be back with you shortly. Welcome back. Here we are, the second game of the second series of the 2015 August 2v2 Tournament Grand Finals. Our teams, of course, Skazatoth versus Clone and Forever here on the map, Tabula. So I'd expect that Skazatoth, having picked this map, should be looking to go for a very macro-oriented game. This is a fairly interesting map. It's different from macro-oriented 1v1 maps in that it's so large that it can be macro-oriented while also lending itself to raider focused play. Trying to erase those real quick. Whoops. All right, great. More technical difficulties. Should be all right now. So light vehicles. That's the factory choice from Yogg-Sothoth here. I would expect either Cloakies or more light vehicles from Skazi. You really need something that can expand fast. Forever, light vehicles themselves. By the way, I should mention, all 4 of these players are going to be very familiar with this map. It's very popular in the teams room. You just typically don't see it in small teams. In 2v2, it's really uncommon. So we should see clones starting up here, possibly with spiders. That might let him exert some extra force down here in the center. They'd leave an awful lot of pressure on Forever, though. Cloaky bots. Here we go, with a little bit more of a conservative starting position. Still waiting on Skazi. I would imagine they're discussing strategy. Here we go. So pretty similar mirrored starting positions and factories for both teams. And we're off. Opening up, we see Clone opening with a Constructor and scouts from everyone else, so Clone looking to go for the macro expand. Early Constructor from Yogg-Sothoth as well. Then actually another Constructor coming out from Clone as well. Interesting. That's very macro oriented then, so he's going to be vulnerable to early aggression from Yogg-Sothoth, which has traditionally been the problem. No rushes or anything like that from the Western teams, so let's see how it plays out now in what looks to be a more traditional game on a very traditional macro oriented map. Could be quite slow to develop. We might not have a lot of engagements early on. For the most part, both of these players are mostly going to be sprinting to try and build up the metal extractors and the energy to support them. I should mention there's quite a few ways into the back lines here. Of course, you can go directly through the center. You can climb or crawl or jump over these sides. You can come around the back here. There's actually an avenue where you can get non-amphibious units to walk up and through. Back here, you can move sides actually up through this little shelf and then into the back here. You typically see a wind farm develop up here on the ledges. Let me turn off the lighting. You typically see wind farms up here, and so it's fairly easy to sneak in a glaive, as we're seeing now, through here and then up the ramps and then to clear out the backside of the economy. And I expect that we'll see a lot of that, at least from Yogg-Sothoth. Hopefully we'll see it from Clone Forever as well. But basically a lot of raiding, trying to get through all of these open doors into the back of the base. Pulling back there, really nice control of that glaive. Economically, it looks fairly even. It seems like the Mean Machines might be out expanding at the moment. They're going to need to build some energy to keep up with that, though. Oh, wow. Applying heavy pressure here. Super greedy opening from Yogg-Sothoth to build so many constructors. And this is exactly the reason that you're making a gamble. Those raiders coming in to clean that up pretty easily. That's painful. That's going to, at the very least, stunt the expansion until these constructors get rebuilt. And Mean Machine's doing a great job of just spiking down on this lane. I mean, they know that the raiders are forced to come out here and engage. There's so much reclaim here. Yeah, I'm not sure what I would do if I'm Yogg-Sothoth at this point. Maybe, okay, try and fortify and counterattack. That's really your best chance, I guess. Once you get this reclaim going anyway. Yeah, really unfortunate. There is quite a bit of reclaim here. It looks like the Mean Machines has pulled back now. Yogg-Sothoth trying to get this reclaim going as quickly as possible. How much is here? Just over 500. So that's quite a few raiders to help control the center. Bit of military loss there. Let's have a quick look at the values. I don't see too much of a runaway. It looks like Forever's a bit behind militarily. And another pause.
Warzone active.
Unpause. Okay, so we should be good to go. Commander coming to clean up that glaive. And this is nice. Planting a glaive down here. It does get taken out by the Scorchers easily, but basically the idea is to either catch a naked expansion, a constructor that heads out here without any support, or at the very least know when your opponent is thinking about expanding out that direction. Pretty strong looking force. Certainly going to be able to deal with these glaives not without any issue. And there we see it. The Scorchers coming in, trying to help defend. Yeah, this Glaive's caught in a terrible, terrible position, unfortunately. Local superiority is going to let these Scorchers just dive right through the other two. And this commander in some hot water, but I wouldn't overcommit here. Look at the economic values, by the way. We are 4.5 minutes into this game. We're at 64 metal to 52, with none of that coming from reclaim. So, and that's how fast the expansion is from these two teams. And when I said macro-oriented, that's what I meant. Lots of raider play going on. Scorchers trying to dive into the Glaives. They're fairly significantly outnumbered here, so these are bad engagements, leaving all of the reclaim in the western side's territory. Just a lot of Scorcher versus Glaive so far. If you're curious why it's all Scorcher and Glaive, really the mobility is the most important part at this point. You need to be able to create and respond to threats as quickly as possible. Raiders, of course, are the units best positioned to be able to do that, with the exception of maybe some airborne units. But these land-based Raiders are more than enough for the job. Just a lot of positional play here, a lot of open avenues, and so basically everyone's trying to figure out where the least defended position is and run through it. These Glaives cleaning up those slashers. This is certainly painful. We can see the Yogg-Sothoth was trying to slow things down here by getting these slashers into position. Unfortunately, wow, that's I guess that's a draw then, isn't it? Unfortunately, they were dispatched by those Glaives fairly easily. You can hear all of the Glaive fire going back and forth. Little pings all over the map. Lots of harassment going on. Very active play by both players. Hopefully we can look away for just a moment to notice that this metal extractor is being overdriven, yielding 6.5 metal per second, while this Super Mech actually hasn't even been built yet, and so it's not being overdriven by the Eastern team. It's not terribly important at the moment, but as the overdrive grids get built up, it could be. And we can see actually that Mean is starting to run away with the economy, 73 metal to 57. So in a good position to win this game, and I think if they win this game, they take the series, don't they? Oh my goodness. So sorry, just a bit of a strong realization there. So this is actually playing for game point for the Eastern side. If the Mean Machines are able to take this second game of the series, that's going to be it, and they'll be the 2v2 winners for this August tournament. Excellent composition here coming in from the Western team as well. These Warriors to clean up the Glaives to clean up the Slashers. These Levelers are a little bit tricky to deal with, but otherwise I would give the advantage to the Western side for this set of lines here. Scorcher trying to poke in here, gets pushed away by these Glaives. Still no overdrive on this metal extractor, unfortunately. And now these Slashers trying to creep forward and dismantle the pork here. This is the right call. I see a bit of a spike coming down here. Oh boy. Where are these Glaives going? This is a pretty large shift of forces here. At the same time, we do see Skazatov lining up. Going to be charging in here to raid out the Super Mechs for sure. But then also lining up to just sort of push over the northern side. So Mean Machines has to be careful how they relocate their forces here. They could be getting counterattacked pretty severely. Oh, by the way, Rapers coming out of a factory I didn't even spot. Glaives on the way in here, cleaning up metal extractors and constructors. Oh boy, they've penetrated the position now. Don't head north though, because there's a couple of warriors there to head them off. Wow, able to either read that or just intelligently head down here to the undefended parts, but avoiding the warriors, and now... Ooh boy, this is really unfortunate. These Rapiers going to clean up all of these windmills, and this commander's in a bit of an ugly position, taking some friendly fire from that AA too. And so this commander, not long for this world, we should see these Rapiers coming in and cleaning it up after this last volley. Oop, bit of a miscount. There we go. And finally the commander does go down. And just like I mentioned, these Slashers now taking advantage of the mispositioning of those military forces coming in from a counterattack on the northern side. They're going to be whittling down all the fortifications here as well. And that's going to open it up to these Glaives to run through here as soon as the Slashers are done with it. Glaive's now coming in here. This is beautiful. Beautiful naked expansion getting raided out. At the same time, one single glaive coming in here trying to raid out this expansion. Really needs to get in here before the LT finishes. Oh, there's actually already an LT there, so not able to pick in by its lonesome, but able to deal with some of these windmills. And it looks like take out a single metal extractor. Heading back now, these glaives are going to continue picking up metal as they wipe out the glaives that were sent here to defend. And now making their way north. 2 LTs to defend. This could get hairy, yeah. If they're able to take down the LTs and dig in here behind this fusion collector where this LT can actually not hit it. Dig in. Okay, so they actually... Wow, beautiful micro there. Taking out the LT, taking out the fusion plant, and now... If Skazatoth wasn't behind before, they certainly are now. 106 to 49 metal, so we are at double the economy, with just a bit of that being reclaimed. By and large, mostly coming from the metal extractors. And just under a quarter of the energy economy as well, so Mean Machine's in a great position. Skazatoth really going to have to dig deep if they want to come back and take this to the third game, try and take this series. Boy, I'm not sure if Scorcher spam is, or Slasher spam is the way to do it. We see a lot of assault units coming in here from the northern side. They're going to be able to just absolutely steamroll the constructors and slashers here. I mean, you need, I don't know, Skydust and Stingers like crazy and hope that you can get them to suicide and then reclaim. If that doesn't happen, I'm afraid that the Eastern team is looking at this one going out 0-2. Just a dominant performance by the Western side so far. Able to massively out-expand, massively out-raid, massively out-ingenious, and there's the GG, well played. Congratulations, Mean Machines. Clone and Forever is our August 2015 2v2 tournament champions. 0K 2v2 champions of the world. Clone and Forever taking this game with a decisive macro victory. Just how decisive? Well, have a look for yourself. That looks like exponential growth to me. Really well done. Excellent comeback after losing that first series 2-0. Clone and Forever rallied the comeback and managed to take the championship anyway. Excellent play there. Really great games. We definitely saw some of the best that large-scale 0K gameplay has to offer. I really enjoyed this. Lots of nuggets of knowledge in this, by the way. If you watch the cast, I would still recommend you go back and watch the replays, especially the game bout or the bout point replays, to try and get some tips from what we saw. By the way, these are 4 of the best 2v2 macro teams in the game right now. There was not a bad game in this tournament, and so watching these as inspiration for how to improve your own play style, certainly well recommended. Anyway, enough blathering about that. Congratulations once again to Clone and Forever. Really excellent job. Very entertaining tournament this time, you guys. I hope that you enjoyed that. I know that I certainly did. Thank you for bearing with me. I'll catch you all next time.